So I've decided that today, in order to avoid me going off on a rant for 10 minutes, I'm just going to fill the time waiting for questions to fill you in what's been going on. Breck, he was my dog. He's a Great Pyrenees. He weighs about 140 pounds, and I had to lift him in the car this morning, or at least I had to try to, because he's gone in for surgery, double ACL. So both of his hind legs, he has to have ACL surgery on. Poor little darling. And but he'll be a lot happier after this and not in any pain. He's only 2, but anyway, big dog. So he'll be having surgery right now. And in other news, I got the craziest looking chicken that you'd ever believe. It's some sort of Polish breed, and it's got hair. It's not hair, it's feathers, but you know what I mean. And it just sticks out all over the place. I'll take a picture if I can. He's a bit sketchy, the chicken. He runs away. But if I can get close to him, I'll take a picture and I'll put it on Instagram. Yeah. So yeah, that's me. And I have questions. Is it normal? I hate when people say that. There's nothing normal. Is it normal to still have digestive problems 6 months into recovery? Yep, it's obviously normal for your body. It can be. Yeah, it can last a while. Just think about how much damage restriction does to your body. Under-resourcing it, hasn't got enough energy for a really long time. That's a bit like you. If you've been really poor for a while, and maybe you'd lost your house, and maybe you lost a lot of stuff, and then if you got a job, it would probably take more than 6 months for you to get completely sorted out, wouldn't it? And so you starting to eat without restriction is a bit like, for your body, that's like if you were really poor and you got a job and you started to have some income coming in. It would take a while, wouldn't it? So keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Eat easily digestible foods such as ice cream. Sarah, such a bad day. Binge, feel sick, and now I'm freaking out. Help. I'm so fed up having anorexia and eating disorders. Stop freaking out. Lie down. Let your stomach lie down. And when you feel less full, eat again. The end. All right. Recovery takes so long, it's depressing. Actually, honestly, if you're sort of doing all the rewiring stuff, it doesn't have to take that long. So you've got to have a look at, well, why is it taking a long time? And if it's taking a long time, you have to look at what you're doing right now that's actually actively enforcing the things that you're trying to rewire, such as behavioral things, such as thought patterns, such as belief systems, fear of weight gain, and the belief that you can't trust your body and all of those things. So if stuff's taking a long time, you do have to look at how am I actively reinforcing rather than rewiring the things that I'm trying to change. Autumn. I like the name autumn because we don't have autumn in America. We have fall, which sounds really kind of like stupid. Fall. Anyway, I much prefer the word autumn. Autumn brings ideas of orange and red flowers and things like that. And fall, I don't know, doesn't bring many ideas of anything. Autumn, hey, I wondered if you had any advice on how to get out of a big relapse. It's in the early stages. Never thought I would be back in this place, and I'm so frustrated after things were good for a while. Yes, I have advice. It would be eat, rest, eat, rest, eat without restriction, rest. That would be my advice. And how do you do that? You just do it. Carol, what is the best way to choose a fear food? Should it be something you like? Well, it can be. However, so you've got to think about it from a rewiring point of view, which is because fear foods, the reason that we develop fear foods is because we can teach our brains to have a fear of something by avoiding that thing. If you avoid, I don't know, anything for a long enough time, your avoidant behavior can teach your brain that thing must be a threat to you. And so we do that. That's sort of how fear foods develop. We start avoiding certain categories of food, certain types of food, things like that. And that's why then when we go to try and maybe or be offered those food or want to eat those foods, our brain has a warning signal. That's the fear response. Your brain has a warning signal, which is like, whoa, no, we don't want to go near that food. So what we have to do in recovery is we have to rewire that fear of that food, that belief that that food is a threat, and that avoidance, that desire to continue to avoid that food. And the only way that you rewire that is by making yourself eat the food until your brain learns, oh, this food's not going to hurt me. And therefore, then it no longer becomes a fear food. So for some people who have a lot of fear foods, there's a shit ton of stuff to rewire in recovery, and you sort of need to get busy doing it. And so you waste your time. You're not rewiring anything if you eat a safe food, really, while you're in recovery. Even if the safe food is a food that you genuinely like, you've got all the time in the world after you've fully recovered to eat as much of that food as you want. While you're in recovery, you need to spend your time focusing on rewiring those fear foods. And so go out of your way to find foods that your brain objects to. Go out of your way to find those foods and eat those foods. If your brain objects to them less, yeah, I mean, it's still great that you ate it, but how can you make your brain object to it more? So, and what you'll also find is that if you really think about it, you can turn even relatively not so fearful foods into fear foods by adding things to them. And so that's sort of what you should do as well. We don't recover by sidestepping and weaseling our way out of the fear and making it a little less fearful. We recover by actually sort of goading it and being like, all right, brain, I'm going to make you really afraid. And then you do the thing that you're really afraid of, and that's how your brain learns. So you should, with fear foods, your plan should be go out of your way to find the scariest things and do it right from the start and keep eating and eating and eating the scary things until there's no scary things anymore. Okay, hope that helps. Gina. Advice for getting in more calories on a strictly liquid diet. Medically required after a surgery last week. Doc has no suggestions. Can have ice cream and pudding. Oh, Gina, come on. I know that you're a smart person. You've got to put that brain to solving this problem. Gina, this is not an unsolvable problem. You know how to do this. You could just go to the, if you're getting bored of eating ice cream, go to the store and buy every different flavor of ice cream that they have. And there's ways of making ice cream very diverse. And you can get things like that cheese dip. That's what I do. I get things like cheese dip, which is sort of liquid cheese, and just be drinking that stuff. There is so much that you can do if you can get over sort of your orthorexia as well. You could get so many calories in via liquid foods if you really, really, really tried. Those very partial to those Lindt chocolate balls, truffle things, love them. And what I have noticed, because I live in Colorado, is that if I leave them out in the summer, they basically turn to liquid. And it's just glorious because you open one of those things and you pop it in your mouth and it just melts into this liquid. So I kind of leave them out on purpose a lot of the time. That is a liquid food. Come on, Gina, you can do this. Be imaginative, be creative, invent the most highly caloric liquid diet that anybody has ever seen, and then consume it. That is my advice there. All right, look down a minute. One more. Livy says, I feel so angry in recovery at the moment. Is it normal? I want to isolate from my parents' emotions, feel so much stronger. Sometimes my therapists make me feel like heroes. Sometimes my therapists feel like heroes, sometimes like enemies to me. Yeah. I don't know what to say about the therapist thing. It's kind of, I don't know. I have a weird relationship with therapists. Never had one. Known plenty of them. And I think that sometimes therapists get put on a pedestal when a lot of the time they're just very normal people that can't sort their own shit out. I'm just being honest. Like, you don't look at a doctor. Like, you don't look at a medical doctor and sit there and think, oh, I bet that they have like a perfect family life and are really good at anything to do with sort of, I don't know, being a good person. But I think that when people look at therapists, they expect them to somehow be superior at managing their relationships and their friendships and all of those things. And the therapists that I've known personally are not only not superior, they're sometimes the sort of most messed up people. Anyway, which is I don't think that that's a problem. I actually think that that reality is an issue at all. Just because if somebody has their own, like their own personal life is a bit messy, doesn't mean that they actually can't help you untangle yours. In fact, it might make them even better at doing that. But I think it's always a little bit troublesome to me when people put their therapists on a pedestal or depend on them too much or just, yeah, I don't know there. So sometimes heroes, I don't think a therapist should be a hero or an enemy. I think that they should have a more neutral role than that in your head. Anyway, and so the question is, being angry in recovery at the moment, is it normal? As normal ever gets. You haven't said what you're particularly angry about. You want to isolate from your parents and your emotions just feel stronger. But I don't know that there probably isn't anything in particular that you can pinpoint that you're angry about. But there'll be a lot of reasons that your emotions are stronger. Can be very biological, like maybe you're in recovery and you're actually eating more, so your body's got a bit more fuel and it's doing stuff with hormones that can make you feel like a little bit of a crazy person. It can be that your anger is more to do with your frustration at yourself and frustration at the life that you've missed and frustration that you haven't recovered yet. It can be as simple as that anger is coming from fear of weight gain. People are pushing you to do stuff that you are afraid of doing. And anger, I wrote about this last week in a blog, anger is a fear response for many of us. And for some of us, it's our go-to fear response. Anger's definitely a go-to fear response for me. So much so that it didn't click with me for a long time that my anger was actually fear. I thought it was just angry. I thought I was just angry because people were assholes. It turns out people weren't assholes. I was just afraid of them because they were trying to make me eat, and that made me angry. I know it sounds so obvious when I say it like that, doesn't it? It really wasn't obvious to me at the time. It wasn't that I was afraid that my mother was offering me a biscuit. It was that she was a controlling asshole. She really isn't. My mother is not controlling about many things, and least controlling about me. So you can tell that from my hair. I do not come from a controlling mother. So I think that that's probably fear. Look at fear. Look for fear. That's what I'm going to say to you, Livy. Look for fear. Look for where you are afraid. And if you can, in your head, every time you feel angry, if you can actually just stop and be like, all right, what am I afraid of right now? That will change the dynamic for you, because you'll start to be able to see your fear. You'll be able to see, and then anger will sort of like in your brain translate into being like, oh, I'm afraid right now. That's why I feel like this. And then when you recognize that, you can take some action. Like if I was angry at my mother because she offered me a biscuit, when I was able to stop and go, hold on a minute, hold on, what's actually going on? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm afraid of the biscuit, aren't I? And then another part of me would be like, that's so fucking stupid, just eat the fucking biscuit. And I'd eat the fucking biscuit just because I wanted to prove to myself I'm not afraid of the biscuit, because I was afraid of the biscuit and I didn't want to be anymore. So I'd eat the biscuit. But all of that, until I could see that it was about the anger was actually fear, I didn't do that. I just got angry and yelled and said, take your fucking biscuit and shove it up your ass. And that was the end of that. But when I was able to go like, ooh, feeling angry, maybe you're a bit scared, that really shifted stuff for me. So my challenge to you is, whenever you feel angry, try and work out what you're afraid of. And with that, I gotta go.